Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Suki Lee, Vice President of Human Resources for ADP Canada, and I'm thrilled to be joined by 5 of Canada's top thought leaders in the area of people management and talent. So we have Nora Spinks, CEO at the Vanier Institute for the Family. We've got Ken Scott, CFO at Accelerated Connections, and then Samantha Hurwitz, a co-founder and Chief Encouragement Officer at Flip Skills and co-author of Leadership is Half the Story. Next, we then have Mark Edgar, Senior Vice President of Human Resources at RSA Canada. And on the end, we've got Les Dakins, an instructor at the Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto and former CHRO at Maple Leaf Foods. And he's also author of The Real Deal on People. So welcome, everyone. Today, we are going to address the talent agenda, specifically how HR leaders can build talent pools, how we need to manage the 21st century workforce, and why we need to get all of the C-suite aligned to drive the talent agenda. So let's dive in. No one at this table will be able to argue that HR's biggest role today is to make sure that we have the right talent with the right skill set at the right place at the right time. We know this is much easier said than done. So Mark, how is RSA building its talent pools today?
So first, I agree with you, Suki. I think it is a real challenge to make sure that we have the right talent in our organisation and the right talent pool. So it's something that we're very much focused on at RSA. We're taking a more holistic approach to thinking about talent management, thinking of all the different components and how you can bring those together to have a well-informed strategy that really is going to drive the business forward. And what we've done in creating that is really taken into consideration both where's the organisation going, but also thinking about what some of the challenges are we face from a talent perspective. And one particular challenge that we're dealing with at the moment is the challenge around our ageing population within RSA. So we have a high proportion of our most technical people in some of the most important roles in RSA who we know are going to be retiring from the organisation in the next two years potentially. And so we need to make sure that we've got a well-informed strategy to deal with that. And so what we've been doing is we've been investing in our young talent, and that starts by making sure that we can attract people into the insurance industry and also then progressing them and accelerating them through roles and building on their experiences to ensure that they're able to be well positioned to take over from some of those people who will be retiring from our organisation in the future.
Now, Ken, you've been involved in a lot of mergers and acquisitions, as well as high-growth companies for most of your career. So during these periods of rapid change, talent plays a critical role, but there's often a lot more pressure on talent during this period. So how do we ensure we're retaining top talent during periods of transition?
So in mergers and acquisitions, for sure, it starts before the acquisition closes. And the first thing is focus on creating great opportunities. So this is an opportunity for the company and for the talent, an opportunity to add value, an opportunity to deliver things, but also opportunities for personal growth, for career development. So create those opportunities. Once it's okay to do it, because there's always fine lines of when you're allowed to communicate, when not, people love to be loved. Reach out, communicate the more often, the earlier, the more senior, the better, to the identified key talent players saying, we really want you here. We're excited about you joining the organization. We have great things that we think you're going to help us with and that's going to be good for you, and here's why. It's really effective, and your hope really is to retain the key, the top talent. At the same time, you got to recognize that change is inevitable. You're not going to win every time, but you can set the stage to hold on to as much as possible.
Thank you for that. Samantha, in your work, you talk about not only the importance of leadership, but also about strong followership. Can you share what strong followership means? And is this an area that we can both hire for as well as train?
Followership is, in terms of a definition, I could say something simple like it's what you're doing when you're not leading. But like leadership, it's actually very challenging to come up with a very specific definition. We definitely look at leadership and followership as a set of complementary skills. So if, for example, you define leadership as creating the optimal conditions for the team and the organization to succeed and to flourish, then the complement to that in a followership role would be to engage fully in that environment, to take personal accountability for being high performing, for bringing your best self forward, being fully engaged, and that sort of thing. So we look at leadership and followership as complementary set of skills. They're different skills. They're skills everybody at every level in every organization needs. And they're equally valuable to organizations and people in their careers.
So thank you for that. I think followership is an area that organizations often overlook as they focus so much on the leadership side of the equation. On that note, Les, in your book, you point out that while you can't buy a good team with just money, you can certainly lose a good team by underpaying them. So as the labor markets tighten, what should HR leaders be looking at beyond compensation in order to retain good talent?
A lot of the talent today would describe themselves as free agents. The compensation does have to be dealt with first, so it's important not to ignore that issue. But because people are viewing their careers in almost components, time frames, they are trying to build their asset, and so as a result, I would encourage HR functions in particular to provide that individual coming into the organization with career paths that are specifically tied to some coaching for that individual, so that the individual gets coaching on not only on the professional skills, but on leadership skills and other things that make them successful, not just in this current role, but to build that asset over time, so that they feel that coming to this organization, they're going to walk away with even more than what they started with. And the coaching today now, many of the HR departments are actually certifying people within HR to be personal coaches to the key talent within the organization. I think that's a great competitive edge if you can do that.
I think that's a great piece of advice, because I think coaching is a common topic in organizations, but sometimes we struggle with identifying the right coach for the right person. So that's a great tip that you've provided. Great discussion. Thanks everyone for sharing your insights on the talent agenda. This is the end of our first chapter. Please be sure to watch the rest of our roundtable discussion.